Do you guys know what One Piece feels like nowadays? It feels like Oda's taking me for a walk, right? And he's holding my hand. And then every single time he drops me over a hole and I fall in and I'm looking out asking for help, then he walks away just laughing like a maniac. It happens every single time and I'm stuck there in this hole. I'm wondering, what was it all for? Why did you do that? Are you gonna do it again? And I fall for it every time. Every time he's like, you wanna go for a walk? And we go for the same walk, take the same, no, not the same path, it's a different path. I know there's gonna be a hole, but I fall into it and I can't get out. That's where we are in Egghead, where there's this hole and it's a hole and it says traitor, and I can't get out of this hole because it's so well hidden. I don't know what to do. I'm asking people for help and they're as confused as well because they're in their own hole and Oda's just laughing at us like, you thought you knew what was gonna happen. Sorry. One Piece chapter 1075 is more of the same, where Oda is giving us clues, hints, and even silhouettes, but still leaving us in the dark. I think we're more confused this week with more information than we were last week. What? As usual, we start off with the cover page. Vegapunk in this cover story, it looks like he's meeting and he's trying to get a job, right? It just looks like he's just bushy-tailed and bright-eyed, and these guys are going to drill him on why he wants to be a part of the world government. Yes, we know how MADS dissolved and how they brought the scientist division to be a part of the world government, so this is just a formality at the end of the day, but Vegapunk is excited. You know why? Funding. You know when people or the college coaches, they meet with the donors, right? They meet with those bigwigs because they need funding and donations for their program. This is how Vegapunk looks, and they're looking at him like, why should we give you money? He's like, well, energy. And they're like, no, we need more than that. And he's like, all right, what about weapons? Just, okay, tell us more. This was mentioned before that obviously Vegapunk met the Gorosei before. And I wonder again, the relationship between Vegapunk and Saturn, if this is where it's gonna go and how it's gonna cross over into the main story, where they're gonna show us their relationship and how it grew and how it fell or how it deteriorated, I guess, and how it's transitioning into what Saturn is doing now, because it's kind of scary what's happening. Based on some of the accusations, it's scary. Something I want to mention as well is that in chapter 1074, the Viz came out and it completely changed the whole perspective of what Sentomaru was saying. Basically, it seems like the Marines, they're looping their message. So Sentomaru and them, they cannot get through. So it seems like they know what's going on and they're just icing them out. So Sentomaru essentially is being treated like a rebel. So he's acting like a rebel. So that changes the whole context. Either way, let's move back on to chapter 1075. We see a shadow. Oda is showing us things slowly and trying to bring us along and say, do you know who it is now? Do you see the subscribe button so you can subscribe to VDL? All right, just hit that subscribe button. Maybe you watched a few videos and you haven't subscribed. You don't realize that you're not subscribed. Click that button. I would really appreciate it. But no, Oda is showing us things, and something I want to point out to you guys, okay? And don't think I'm crazy. Don't think I'm crazy. But when I was reading the chapter, I saw it immediately. Okay, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but guys, if you look at the silhouette, right? And this is what I saw. This guy that's grabbing for the Denden Mushi, the shadow, he looks like Saturn. He looks like Saturn. Come on, guys, look at it and tell me he doesn't look like Saturn. Right? Look at the outline, the hands, you see the dreads and the face. More than likely I'm wrong, but that's what Oda's showing me. You guys may see something different. Some people saying Caribou, some people saying Shiryu. I'm like, Shiryu's an invisible man. Why would there be a shadow? Unless he's trying to troll everyone. It'd be like a Denjiro situation, like where Denjiro, you can't figure out that Denjiro's Kyosuro because his face got altered and twisted because of rage. Who the hell could have predicted that? Hold on, what are you pulling here? So some people saying this is Hattori's real form. I don't know, we're going down the deep end. Like Hattori, people have been speculating for a long time that Hattori is actually a person. He's in his Zoan form. Freaking no, man, I don't know, but this person is here and he's causing a ruckus. It is worrisome because he's taking people out. Okay. In the midst of this chapter, I can't help but feel weird about Shaka. With all the groups going to search for Vegapunk and Pythagoras and to figure out what's going on, it's just an eerie feeling I have around Shaka. And I've been saying it for a long time. Like, what if Shaka, the good, is actually the evil, right? The traitor, I guess, in this situation. So he'd be the evil. He comes off sometimes as holier than thou. That's why Lilith can't stand him. So I'm just like, what if Shaka is the person that we should be wary of? You know what I mean? And people have been saying it as well. More and more this chapter, I'm looking at Shaka and it's just, his concern feels forced. Like, oh my God, what is happening, right? And I wonder if Luffy's picked up on something, because Luffy's like, hey, I didn't bump into anything, and he has a sense for things, right? And for Luffy being around him, like, is Oda telling us that this guy is the one we should worry about? And there's some more hints that I'm gonna point out in the chapter, but Shaka, you got my eyebrow raised, all right? Sanji knows the vibes. He understands what Stussy brings to the table, and I feel like we all do, okay? And Stussy, she's playing the game. She's a mature older woman. She knows how to play the game to get what she wants. And she's using Sanji saying, yeah, sure, if you can find Vegapunk, silly. And Sanji's just, over the moon because, wait, what? Normally they kick me away, they call me names, they call me a pervert. Are you saying there's a chance? And Stussy, again, she's a woman that's in espionage and she understands how to be an agent, a double agent, and she can use people for what she wants. And she's doing the same thing with Sanji. Sometimes I call Jinbei the captain, right? Because he's Captain Obvious. He points out really things. They're like, man, this is massive. I'm playing. Jinbei's my guy. Jinbei is typically the voice of reason, and he adds to the scene by giving a description of what's going on or add some context, some logic. So Jinbei is always necessary. And this one, he's like, oh, this is massive, right? Thanks, Jinbei. Lilith introduces a bubble gun, which is more than likely what the pacifista can already use, but Vegapunk, they have a gun that can do the same thing. It can reflect anything, a bubble gun. I wonder if this is something that Oda's going to expound upon. Is going to be a huge part of the Seraphim's fighting style, that they can actually procure bubble defenses because they already have Lunarian defense, so it could be redundant. Who knows? But even in the midst of all this, we have, well, Seraphim going rogue. Okay, the Seraphim, they're at a place or at a point now where they're not listening to anyone. And we're wondering, okay, well, the punks are here. We're giving them orders. They said to cease operations, and now they're back again. So whoever they're listening to, they trump Vegapunk, and a lot of people are going towards the Gorosei because that's the only thing that makes sense, unless there was something implemented or a failsafe that even Vegapunk doesn't know about, or the other punks, but the Stella body does, or rather the Stella body was kidnapped. It's so many different things going through our head because they're approaching S Snake, and well, S Snake just attacked York. We said to stop. What's happening? And Pythagoras is trying to warn him like, no. More than likely is saying that's the person that attacked me. Who is controlling the Seraphim now? Again, my theory is crazy, but seeing the Gorosei or the outline of Saturn, is he already there? Can he hide his presence that well to sneak into Egghead and of course the Frontier Dome and messing with the defenses that already happened? So it would be crazy if it was the Gorosei, but somebody's here messing with things. One thing I don't think was confirmed is, does the Stella have higher authority than the satellites? Which would make sense that it does, but on the key, the hierarchy was the authority chip, Sentomaru, Vegapunk, the Stella body, and the satellites, and then the Gorosei. They were differentiated, but they were on the same level. So for instance, so if the Stella body says something, the satellites technically should be able to override it, but maybe the Stella has superiority over all of them. So in this instance, based on how the Seraphim operate, the only people who could probably override what the satellites have been saying to the Seraphim is the Stella body or one of the Gorosei, but they can't use it over Denden Mushi. So either Gorosei is already here or the Stella body, they have betrayed everyone. I feel like we're gonna find out the true power of the Seraphim because they've been hyping them and saying, hey, they are the strongest. We've created them to be the strongest. And we haven't seen as much of that. We've seen bits and pieces where like, okay, they are powerful. When Jinbei was fighting against, well, S Shark was fighting against Sanji and the others were like, okay, they have Lunarian blood. They have devil fruit powers that go with what they do. We're finally about to see S Hawks, I think his power, his devil fruit power, because he has one, and see exactly how strong this Kuma thing is, because Zoro in the midst of this asking Luffy for help, saying, yo, I need a hand. And Oda, I think, is going to start to implement or incorporate, not I think, based on what the chapter is saying, Luffy and Kaku to fight against both of these guys, because whatever S-Hawk's ability is going to be, I think is going to be devastating, guys. I'm scared. It is worrying. It is worrying. It's funny as heck because Zoro, as savage as he is, he's always like a noble guy, where it's like, I can't have them take out CP0 in the midst of what's going on. It'll leave a bad taste in my mouth. So he's just like, he's a good dude. Like even when he's like, yo, I don't want to cut the guy because he's naked type shit. It's like, he just does things like that. Like where it's like, he doesn't have to do it, but he does because he has a code, right? And he always abides by it. So it's crazy because even in the midst of that code, Monet realized like at the end of the day, I'm still a beast. So you're not going to push me as only so far because I cut you. All right. But also something to keep in mind as well. Whatever the Seraphim were ordered, CP0 was not a part of that. They did not say, oh, exclude those guys. It feels like when CP9 failed and then they're like, well, we can take them out. It seems like they're looking at CP0 as like a failure because they were captured and didn't apprehend Luffy. So it's like, no, take everybody out, even them. And so what happens to them after this? Oda brought them back for a reason. Are they no longer a member of CP0? Are they done? Was this a suicide mission from the jump? Was that a test sending them to defeat or bring back Vegapunk? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know if it's a setup all the way. And so all those questions are running through our mind. Now, one of the hints that I talked about or I mentioned I was going to talk about is at the end of the chapter, we saw the combination attack from S-Hawk and S Bear. Look at that attack, right? Where Luffy's getting people out of the way, Zoro's getting people out of the way. It looks like a Saturn. It looks like Saturn. Like it's a planet with a ring around it. You know how old it is with the foreshadowing, bro. So I don't want to go too far, but yeah, the face that Luffy and Zoro make at the end, I mean, they are disgusted with Kaku and Lucci. Like, what? You want us to take you off the cuffs? I mean, for us, we know how strong Luffy is, so it don't really matter, bro. Like, take him off. Like, Rob Lucci can't bang with you, so it really shouldn't matter. But the face they make is like, Oda's gonna throw a face in like that every now and again. And I do love this face that they made. I'm not gonna lie. But guys, how you feeling, man? How you feeling? This is some intense stuff, right? Again, the chapter giving us information, but also it's smearing what we know, right? It's like a windshield, right? But I'm smearing information all over the windshield. I'm getting more information, but I can't see through the windshield now because there's more information. That's what all this do. He's good. He's good. Like the video, bro. Subscribe. We're gonna do some more deep diving. Gonna have a conversation, a breakdown with somebody this weekend because I need some help. All right, like the video, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. We'll continue the conversation over there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.